सर आपके माइक से काफी डिस्टर्बेंस आ रही है।
I'm recording the meeting. Will be taking the attendance also. Okay. Am I audible?
डिस्टर्बेंस आ रही है थोड़ी। अब ठीक है
Disturbing. And then let me just.
सर, अब ठीक है सर, अब ठीक है।
वो कौन है, क्या नाम है, मैं भूल गई, देखो बताना है आपको।
जानवी क्या बोल गई?
नहीं नहीं, सब बढ़िया है। अब जैसे दीपिका भाभी की एक बात थी कि उनके बच्चों में मैनर्स अच्छे होंगे, वो ना अच्छी माँ इनके बच्चों में नहीं होंगे तो इनको फील होगा कुछ, होता ही है। और बहुत पता है, एक सेकंड रुकना, गुन्नू के साथ ये सीन है कि उसको
सर आज इसकी क्लास चल रही है सर, ये देख रहा है।
लग रहा है पता नहीं किसके बच्चों की क्या बात कर रही है। एनीवेज, सो लेट मी टेक द अटेंडेंस। आस्था खंडेलवाल, अभिज्ञान गुप्ता, आदित्य, अंकित, अर्पण मिश्रा, आशुतोष महर्षि, अश्मित, आयुष, ऋतिक, इशप्रीत, जानवी, जमीमा, करण अग्रवाल, कौशल अग्रवाल, मेघना, नमन जालान, नवीन चांदलानी, नव्या सिंह, प्रीतम मिलन, प्रियांशी शर्मा, राघव दुबे, संभव गर्ग, समृद्धि त्रिपाठी, सान्या, सरवंश सिन्हा, सौरभ यादव, शारा खान, श्रेया, शुभम सिंह राणा, तुषार खंडेलवाल, वंशिका and Vatsal Rathore. So let us just start with the presentation and other things. Okay. So what I will be doing is I will be displaying the presentation on the computer. Will be showing you the presentation over here also, and then we will start with the class itself. So today we will be studying about debentures. So anyhow, because the day before we studied about the shares, so may I just ask you anyone that what is a debenture? Anyone?
The debenture is type of a loan which company offer to the public and pay the interest.
Which company
offers to the public?
Okay.
And pay the interest on it.
Okay. Pays interest on it. Okay. It's a loan. It's a loan capital rather. Okay. If we say what is debenture, we can say it's a loan capital, right? So otherwise, what are the or you can say what are the other capitals which are available? What is the other type of capital which is available? Studied about it. So share capital is one. Okay, fine. So let me just take you to the how to invert the camera. It's not having any option. Anyways. So fine. So debentures, you can say if a company need funds for the extension and the development purpose without increasing its share capital, it can borrow from the general public by issuing the certificates for a fixed period of time at a fixed rate of interest, and such a loan certificate is called debentures. Okay, so it's a loan capital number one. So first most thing which is there as a debenture is that it's a loan amount. It's the amount of loan actually which the company takes. So there are two types of capitals you can say. One is the owned capital and another one is the debenture, which is the loan capital. Loan capital is something which we are taking from the general public, or you can say maybe from the banks, and then we are going for we are going to repay it after certain period of time. So that's what is the loan, or you can say that is the loan capital, you can say. Okay, so that's how the debenture works as such, as a loan capital. Let me see if I can join over here again. Yeah. So anyhow, the loan capital itself is something which a person has to repay after a certain period of time. Okay. Hope I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what according to, I think I have joined. Exiting from here. Yes, I'm there now. So let me share the presentation also with you. Yes. Yeah. Hope you are able to see the presentation also.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So debenture are offered to the public for the subscription in the same way as that of the equity shares. So debenture is issued under the common seal of the company, acknowledging the receipt of the same. Okay, so debentures are also one of the, you can say, the way by which the company can raise the funds. Okay, and at the same time, they help the company in order to, because there is a limit that to what extent a person can actually involve his own capital as such. So debenture actually help us in getting the capital from the general public over and above the owned capital. Okay, and it also helps in getting a good capital structure, because I will tell you that how the debentures interest is more cheaper than that of the dividend which is to be paid. So according to section 230 of the Companies Act 2013, debenture includes debenture stock, bonds, or any other instrument of the company evidencing a debt, whether constituting a charge on the assets of the company or not. Okay, it is evident from the definition that the term debenture covers both secured and unsecured debentures, because whether the charge is there or not, or whether the debentures are secured or not secured, one or the other way, the company has acknowledged that it has taken debt accordingly. So there are various kinds of debentures. The debentures generally are classified into various categories on the basis of convertibility of the instrument, on the basis of security of the instruments, on the basis of redemption ability, or you can say redemption, and on the basis of registration of the instrument. So on the basis of convertibility, debentures will be classified as non-convertible debenture, NCDs. These debentures retain the debt character and cannot be converted into equity shares. And partly convertible debenture, PCDs, a part of these instruments are converted into equity shares in future at the time of the redemption and after giving a notice by the issuer. So this is normally decided at the time of subscription, means at the time of issuing of the debentures. And there are fully convertible debentures also. These are the debentures which are fully converted into equity shares at the issuer's notice. Upon conversion, the investors enjoy the same status as that of the ordinary shareholder or that of a company. So there are three types of debentures on the basis of convertibility. You can say non-convertible debentures, the debentures which cannot be converted into equity share. Now, what happens when a company issues a debenture? At that time, it decides whether it wants to get to convert the debentures, the debt, into the capital. Now, just imagine what will happen in the balance sheet of the company. So on the balance sheet, on the liability side, both the debentures and equity shares are present. So what will happen? The debentures which is shown as a debt capital will be converted into equity. It means the debt will be converted into equity. So there will be difference in the, or there will be change in the debt equity ratio of the company, which will result in increase of equity and decrease of debt. Okay, so there will be no cash flows if debentures are fully convertible, then there will be no cash flows happening at the time of redemption. Only what will happen? The debentures will be cancelled, those who are issued, and all the debenture holders will now have the status of the owners. So the debenture holders who were previously the debtors of the company have now become the owners of the company. Okay, so this is what will happen. Okay, now at the time when the debentures are not convertible, then what happens? Then because debentures are not convertible, the redemption has to happen in cash only. So at the time of redemption, all those debenture holders who have paid the money to the company in the form of loan, those have to be redeemed. They will get their money back along with the interest till date. Now, partly convertible debentures means that the debentures will be partly converted into equity shares, and the remaining part payment is to be done in cash by the company at the time of redemption of the company. Now, please, can you tell me that what will be? There is, just imagine there is a balance sheet of the company with you. What will be the status of the debenture holders at the time of conversion? Or you can say, had you been at the place of debenture holders who have given the loan capital to the company, and then afterwards you have to get the redemption in the form of shares, would that be profitable for you or not? And to what extent it will affect you? Any one of you? Anyone? Come on. Let us discuss this.
No, sir, because a liability will be converted into a liability.
So there will be no effect?
No, sir.
No. Suppose, for example, so you are saying it from the company point of view. I am asking you, had you been the debenture holder who has actually given the money to the company at the time of redemption? Suppose you have given the money to the company for 10 years, and for 10 years the company has been paying you 12% interest. Okay, 12% interest you have received every year from that company. Suppose 1 lakh rupees you have given. Okay, and on those debentures, the company is giving you a rate of interest of 12%. So 12% every year you are getting 12,000 rupees. Okay. Now what will happen at the end of the year? Means at the end of the 10th year when company is going to redeem you. So just imagine you have two options. Okay. Either you get your shares converted into equity shares, you get your debentures converted into equity shares, or in lieu of that, you get your full money back. What will you do? Come on, anyone?
Sir, I think it depends on the company value. I mean, if a company is good, it has a good value in share market, then I will preferably take the shares.
Excellent. Very good. Yeah.
And if it's not, then I will take my money back. That's the
Okay.
thing.
So, but normally it doesn't happen like that, because I have just asked you that, okay, what option will you choose? So such type of option, sometimes it is not given by the company. Okay. Because it has to be decided how the company is going to redeem the shares. So at that time, you can only assess your profit or loss. Okay. So for example, had the shares been convertible, had you taken, if at the time of issuing, you have taken the shares which are fully convertible, what will happen? Now the market price of the share is very good, and the company's shares are always in demand. Okay, in that case, you will get the shares on the basis of your conversion, and you will get benefit. Double benefit means you have already secured your funds, because debentures are mostly secured because it is having more value from the point of view of security than the other things. But at the same time, what will happen? You will get another benefit, that is the increase in the market value of the shares, or you can enjoy that market value of the share because the company is already a good company. Okay, so this is something which is which is there, and which will happen. Okay, so very good answer, Ashmit. Because you have analyzed it from the point of view of that what is the company's position at that time. If the company's position, if the company's shares are good enough, definitely you will be getting benefit, and accordingly you should take the action. Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Anyone, anything else if you want to ask over here? or anyone would like to counter Ashmit on this or counter me on this, so you are most welcome. Or any concept you want me to clear. Okay, we'll proceed further then. So I hope you have understood the convertibility and the conversion of the debentures as such. So next is your again, this is optionally convertible debentures. If it is issued, then what Ashmit has told will happen. So sometimes this option is also given at the time of when the debentures are to be issued. So again, on the basis of that, whatever is good for you, you can proceed further. So from this point of view, there are four types of debentures: non-convertible, partly convertible, fully convertible debentures, and optionally convertible debentures, OCDs. Next is on the basis of security, debentures are classified into secured debentures. So these instruments are secured by a charge on the fixed assets of the issuer company. So if the issuer fails on the payment of either the principal or the interest amount, his assets can be sold to repay the liabilities of the investor. That's why it is called secured, because these are secured by the assets of the, by creating a charge on the assets of the. Creating a charge means that the bank will create a charge, means the company will not be able to sell its assets, or the company will not be able to deal with its assets until and unless there is the certificate of satisfaction of charges has not been issued to the company. And certificate of satisfaction of charges can be issued only if the company has paid off all its debts, or paid off all its interest and all everything. So in that case only it will happen. Okay, so this is a special case, or you can say this is a case when and mostly debentures are secured in nature. Okay. Next is your unsecured debenture. These instruments are unsecured in the sense that if the issuer defaults on the payment of the interest or principal amount, the investor has to be, along with the other unsecured creditors of the company, they are also said to be the naked debentures, mean that is, and because it is unsecured, the rate of interest in such debentures is higher as compared to the secured debentures. So what happens when the unsecured debentures, when the company will issue unsecured debentures? Anyone? When a company will issue unsecured debentures? Or is it allowed to issue unsecured debentures? When should it issue unsecured debentures? What can be the circumstances in which the company can issue unsecured debentures? Anyone?
Sir, I don't know whether it's allowed or not, but a company will issue unsecured when it's not sure about its financial position. I mean, like they are not sure that they are able to give the particular fixed amount of interest every year. That's why they will issue the unsecured debentures.
No, it's not like this. Unsecured debentures. Anyone else? Anyone else? Come on, please. Anyone else? Nobody? Should I ask? Astha? When a company should issue unsecured debenture, or just imagine yourself in the place of the company when you will be issuing in unsecured debentures. Ashmit has said one thing, that when company is not sure whether it will be able to pay the loan or not. So see what happens, Ashmit, when the company and the person who is actually in this is not sure about that he will be able to pay it off or not. At that time, even there are certain norms which are to be fulfilled, and according to those norms, sometimes you may not be allowed to issue unsecured debentures. See, unsecured debentures, number one, is issued when your company's credit rating is very, very high. You are allowed to issue such unsecured debentures when you have a very high credit rating, and at the same time, secondly, you do not have assets to keep for a charges, because the company might not be may have got exhausted with the assets, but the company is having a certain future prospect. The future prospects of the company seems to be very bright to the banks and the other people, those who want to give the money to the company. So looking into that, the company can issue some unsecured debenture. Otherwise, company may not be allowed, because if company itself knows that it will not be able to pay off its debts, so I think the other people, those who are assessing the company, may also be knowing the same thing to at least to some extent. that company is going in liquidation or company at that time, even the SEBI will not allow the company to issue, because unless it is there, it will be just like playing with the public money. So at that time, this is some certain thing which is to be noted. And at the same time, if the company's prospects are very good, it is having a very good asset value, or you can say the total value of the asset is more than the liabilities, or it is having, a good goodwill, or you can say it is having and the scenario of the business is like that, if the company, the purpose for which the company is taking the loan is fair enough to take loan, because the future prospects, or you can say the business prospects, current business prospects are very good, because the company will take the loan and will earn and will return the money. If it is the scene, then the unsecured debentures can be issued by the company. Hope it makes sense, Ashmit?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So let us proceed further. So on the basis of redemption, there are two types of debentures: redeemable debentures or perpetual or irredeemable debentures. So redeemable debentures refers to the debentures which are issued with the condition that the debentures will be redeemed at a fixed date upon demand or on demand after notice or under system of periodical drawing. So see, there are 3-4 words over here. Number one is fixed date. So redeemable debentures are those which are to be redeemed on a fixed date. Suppose, for example, I have issued debentures today, that is 7th of September 2020, for 10 years. So debentures will be redeemed on 7th of September 2030. Okay, so this is what is a fixed date. So I have issued the debentures for 10 years. Now on demand. So on demand is like that I will be having there will be option given to the people, those who want to redeem the debentures, if they will exercise that option after 10 years, because that is after the notice or after the certain period of time, they will be able to get the redemption or repayment of the amount, and that will be on demand only, means they have demanded it, that's why, otherwise they will keep on getting the interest part. Second is after notice, that is if you have given a notice to the company after after the minimum period is there, then the company can, or otherwise the system of periodical drawing. For example, the company has given the redemption of debentures to be redeemed after a period of 10 years, systematically, in the way that every year 20% of the redemption will happen. So after 10 years, every year 20% of redemption will happen. So in this way, there will be periodical drawings, and then the company can get off with the debentures in the period of next 5 years, because every year 20%. So whatever is the amount, suppose a person has invested 1 lakh. So every year for next 10 years, he will be getting 20,000 rupees as a redemption amount, and the interest will be on the remaining amount of 80% in the second year, and then 60% in the third year. So and so on. Okay. So this is what the thing is. So debentures are generally redeemed on the redemption. This can be either reissued or cancelled. So the debentures which have been redeemed, they can either be cancelled by the company or scrapped by the company because the company has paid it off, or otherwise the same debentures, similar debentures, can be reissued again to some other person in order to get the money. Company can do it like that also. That company can reissue the debenture to someone else or to the same persons, and with the help of the money which has been realized by the company, the company can also repay the original debentures which the companies has previously issued. So the person who has been reissued the debenture shall have the same rights and priorities as if the debenture has never been redeemed. So if the same type of debentures are being reissued, so the company will be the debenture holder will be having the same rights and priorities and the same thing which he was having before. I hope it makes sense. Hope you are able to understand, everyone. Shreya?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So next is perpetual or irredeemable debentures. So a debentures in which no time is fixed. for a company to pay back the money is an irredeemable debentures. So debenture holders cannot demand the payment as long as the company is a going concern and does not make default in making the payment of interest. So if the company will make a default in payment of interest, the debenture holders can raise the voice for redemption of their debentures, because the condition is that the company will keep on paying the interest till it's till perpetuity. Okay, but all the debentures, whether redeemable or redeemable, becomes payable the company if the company is going into liquidation. So let me tell you one thing: when the company goes into liquidation, or when the company is going with winding up, okay, the company has to redeem all its shares and debentures, but at that time, the first priority will be given to the secured debentures, and then it will come to the unsecured ones. So this is from the point of view of security at the time of redemption. The secured debentures will get a priority over anyone else for getting the repayment, and the unsecured debentures will be in the queue like other unsecured creditors of the company. But let me tell you one thing: after commencement of Companies Act 2013, a company cannot issue irredeemable debentures also. So previously, up till 2013, though irredeemable shares were not allowed, irredeemable preference shares were not allowed to be issued, but irredeemable debentures were issued. But after commencement of 2013 Act, the company is not allowed to issue such a debenture which is irredeemable, because it creates dispute, and sometimes the company's things are not in position, and then a lot of litigation happens and all that, because again, this is something which is where a loan is taken for repayment. It is not taken for having it to enjoy it forever. May you be paying interest whatsoever, but once you have to pay it. Okay, so this is something totally out of the box, that if a person has taken loan, see, capital is totally different. Capital is still perpetuity. Okay, capital of the company, and that to equity capital, not the preference capital, because preference capital is also because you are giving a fixed rate of interest on a fixed rate of dividend on preference shares also. So that's why, and that fixed rate cannot be borne for more than 20 years. Okay, so that too is decided at the time of issue of the preference shares. So maximum 20 years are allowed for preference shares to be issued, and after 20 years, preference shares are to be redeemed. And for debentures, no such limit is fixed as such, but seeing to the circumstances, or seeing to the requirement of the company can take the loan, but it cannot go for now irredeemable or perpetual debenture. Okay. So next is on the basis of registration. On the basis of registration, there are two types of debentures. You can say registered debentures or bearer debentures. Registered debentures are made out in the name of a particular person whose name appears on the debenture certificate, who is registered by the company as a holder on the register of debenture holders. So registered debentures are issued with a registration, or you can say it is named to a particular person, and the certificate of debt is issued only to that particular person, and it is registered in the books of the company in the register of debenture holders. Second is your bearer debentures. Bearer debentures are, on the other hand, are made out to bearer and are not negotiable instrument. And these are negotiable instruments. And so far, so transferable to merely by delivery, like share warrants. So you can just you can transfer these debentures just by delivery. Actually, these are as good as you can say, not as good as, but yeah, you can say this is to some extent this is like currency notes. If you just give it to someone else, so whosoever is the bearer becomes the holder in due course, and unless contrary shown, it is entitled to receive and recover the principal and interest accrued thereupon. So whosoever will be having this particular thing in between, and at the time, and at that time the company is declaring, the company is providing the interest, so he will be entitled to have the interest also. So in while issuing the bearer debentures, it is not written. So the register is maintained, but only the initial people, those who have taken the things will be maintained because it's a bearer debenture. So there is no requirement for the registration of such bearer debentures with the company itself. So from the point of view of liquidity, if you see, bearer debentures are better than registered debentures. But from the point of view of security and safety, registered debentures are better than the bearer debentures. So totally depends on what you trade off for what. That is one of the things which should be considered as such, right? So what is debenture stock? So a company is, instead of issuing debentures, each in respect of a separate and existing debt, may raise an aggregate loan fund or composite stock, which is known as debenture stock. Means it is something which is issued in bulk. Okay, so accordingly, a debenture stock is a borrowed capital consolidated into one mass for the sake of convenience. Instead of each lender having a separate bond or mortgage, he has a certificate entitling him to certain sum being a portion of one of the large loan. So instead of issuing separate things or separate units to each and every person, a debenture stock can be issued and a person will be having a entitlement. You can say certificate of entitlement against that debenture stock, which is, or you can say the mortgage, which is being created by the company. So it is generally secured by a trust deed. So debenture stock, there is a trust deed. We can say debenture trust deed is there, and it is secured by that. So as in the case of the shares, a person may subscribe for or transfer any amount, even a fraction of amount to it. So debenture stock is a indebtedness itself, and debenture stock certificate furnishes the evidence of title or interest of the holder in the indebtedness. So debenture is a document which furnishes evidences of the debt. Debenture stock must be fully paid, while debenture may or may not be fully paid. So what the company has to do for the convenience of the companies and for the debenture holders, the company issues debenture stock, because for each and every, because what happens then, then there is a calls for the like the shares are being called, are actually collected in installments for a call being made on each and every time. That in the same way, debenture if issued will be having calls on it, but and it has to be fully paid. Until unless debentures are fully paid, you cannot redeem the debentures even at the time of redemption. Okay, so this is something required. So debenture stock, it can be of small amount also, it can be of any amount too. So it is just a, you will get just entitlement against the stock of the debentures or the assets which are secured by those debentures. So it actually furnishes the title of the interest to the shareholder for the indebtedness, but it will not carry any number of debentures which are issued to a certain percent. So what happens when you are having a debenture stock, you will be given a entitlement of debt towards the company and not the number of debentures. So that is how it happens, and this is for the convenience of the company also and for the convenience of the debenture holder too. Okay. What is difference between debenture and debenture stock? Debenture is a description of an instrument, while debenture stock is description of a debt. So in case of debenture, each and every debenture will be having in each and every separate instrument. So you are acknowledging the instrument at that time, while in debenture stock you are acknowledging how much debt is due to one person towards the company. So in the words of Lord Lindley, it is a borrowed capital consolidated into one mass for the sake of convenience. What? Debenture stock. So whereas debenture is a separate instruments issued to each and every person separately. So further, what is the difference between debenture and the loan? A debenture means a document which creates or acknowledges a debt, whereas a loan creates a right in the creditor to demand the repayment, and the substance of the debt is liability of the debtor to repay the money. So this is what the difference is between debenture and the loan. Even a creditor who is giving something, and even sometimes these loans are also unsecured, whereas debentures mostly are secured but can also be unsecured, and we have discussed the situation when it can be unsecured. So there are certain distinctions between the debentures and the shares also. So part of the capital, as a part of the capital, debenture actually constitute loans, whereas shares are a part of capital of the company. Nature of ownership, the debenture holders are creditors. They are not owners, whereas the shareholders are the members or the owners of the company. So rates, debenture holder gets a fixed interest, which carries a priority over the dividend, whereas the shareholder gets a dividend with a varying rate. And most of the time, because the rates are fixed in case of debentures, even if the company will earn more, the debenture holder may not get the extra money, but the shareholder will get, because the rates keep on fluctuating because they are the owners. So whatever is residue will go for the dividends. Next is charge. So debentures generally have a charge on the assets of the company, and shares are actually, they do not carry charge because they themselves are the owners. So debenture holders, because they are outsiders, so in order to have their trust, they want the assets of the company to create a charge in their favor, that if the company is not able to repay the interest or a principal amount, they can sell off the assets of the company in order to realize their money. Next is issued at discount. Debentures can be issued at a discount without restriction, but shares nowadays can never be issued at a discount. Next is rate of interest and dividend. Rate of interest is fixed in case of debentures, whereas equity shares, the dividend varies from year to year depending on the profit of the company and a board of director decision to declare the dividends. Okay. Next is the voting rights. Debenture holders do not have voting rights. Why? Because they are not owners of the company, whereas the shareholders, being the owners of the company, have all the rights to vote in the decision making of the company. Next is payment of interest and dividend. So interest on debenture is payable even if there is no profit, or if the company is out of profit, the company has to pay the interest. If the company will not pay the interest, it may go into liquidation even. But in the case of dividend, dividend is paid only if the company is having some profits, and if company is not having profits, the dividends will not be paid. Next is return on allotment. So return on allotment is not required for the allotment of the debentures, whereas a proper return has to be filed by the company in form number 2 to be filed for the allotment of shares by the company to the shareholders. So these are the differences between shares and debentures. So there are certain provisions of how to issue debentures, and I think do we have time for that? Yeah, we still have 3 minutes. So, but in these 3 minutes, if you want to discuss something else, or if you have some queries, I can take those queries, or otherwise, this is also not that much long. So, but the provisions, let us, because the provisions itself, there are a lot of other provisions also which are to be discussed in toto. So tomorrow we will take the provisions of issue of debentures along with the borrowing powers. So what are the powers of the company to borrow? To what extent a company can borrow? So this actually constitute the capital structure of the company. So accordingly, it will be dealt in tomorrow itself. Yeah. Any question anyone would like to raise, or if you are not able to understand anything, you can ask me. Come on. Yes. Any question? Anyone? So should I take the attendance and let you
Yes,
go?
sir.
Fine. Okay. Fine. So Asta Khandelwal, Abhigyan Gupta, Aditya, Ankit, Anshul Goswami, Arpan Mishra, Ashutosh Maharshi, Ashmit, Ayush Bothra, Ritik Bhardwaj, Ishpreet Singh Walia, Janvi Singh, Jamima Mary, Karan Agarwal, Kaushal Agarwal, Meghna Dhuria, Naman Jalan, Naveen Chandlani, Navya Singh, Pritam, Priyanshi, Raghav Dubey, Sambhav Garg, Samriddhi Tripathi, Sanya, Sarvansh Sinha, Saurabh Yadav, Shahid Chauhan, Shara Khan, Shreya Dharan, Shubham Singh Rana, Tushar Khandelwal,
Yes.
Vanshika, Sunil, Vatsal Rastogi, and Yashwardhan Tripari. So guys, thank you, and Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Have a
Bye,
nice day,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
sir.
Bye.